Hi liaisons, we are talking in this video about the action plan. Okay, a couple of things about an action plan. In general, we do not institute an action plan with a student until they have had a chance to remediate their struggling behaviors. So say a lot of the behaviors come under professionalism, which is what we see a lot. Coming in late, not calling, not being professional with clients. We've seen an uptick of this in the COVID era because a lot of people are working from home, which increases the likelihood that maybe students aren't doing what they're supposed to be doing at home. Supervisors are saying, hey, they're saying they're working from home, but I'm not seeing a product. We need to encourage field instructors to have a one-on-one with students when they have concerns and put a plan in place for remediation. So in 2 weeks, I'm checking back in. We're making sure our goals have been met, to be on time, to show me detailed notes of what you're doing at home in your work from home day, etc. If after that remediation plan has been put in place, things are not improving, then we talk about an action plan. If you read the action plan, and remember, there's an action plan in your midterm notes, but there's also a standalone action plan. They're both linked here in this Canvas course. If the student has not done what they need to do, we institute an action plan. And if you see it, you'll see the very strong language that talks about ending the internship. So you and I need to talk about an action plan before you put one into place. What we have found that gets us tripped up is if students are not allowed to make changes and a supervisor says, I'm having all this trouble and they need to leave. An agency has a right to kick a student out, but it is very unfair for a student to not hear what they're doing wrong before they're kicked out. And so I cannot stress this enough, the need for field instructors to take the time to address negative or struggling behaviors before things get bad. Another thing I would say is if you are noticing consistent classroom struggles, so if your student is not turning in logs and is not and they're not contacting you about that. If that happens consistently, I would reach out to the field instructor and say, hey, don't show your cards. Just say, I'm wondering how, Sally Sue is doing in your placement. I mean, I guess you could say, I'm noticing some classroom struggles. Usually if there's a classroom struggle, there's going to be a field struggle. That's not always the case, but it is typical for that to happen. And we want to nip that in the bud and kind of address that early on. I cannot emphasize this point enough that we want to address behaviors as soon as we see them, because we get in a lot of trouble when students feel blindsided because somebody's afraid of conflict and not dealing with it. So please talk to me about that. If you have students that you're struggling with classroom-wise, I would write them an email and say, hey, I'm worried, are you okay? And then you have documentation that you've reached out and tried to see what's going on. I'm not saying chase students down for assignments. They're adult learners. But making your expectations known very soon with assignments and kind of following up. So that is action plan. Action plan, again, strong language. So let's talk about that before you institute that.